Welcome to Outliers Get to Know. I'm your host, Tracey Devlyn, and I'm here with author Kate Belli to talk about her new thriller, The Gallery Assistant. Welcome to the show, Kate.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. It's great to see you again. Like we were saying before I hit the record button, for those who don't know, Kate and I met at the Thriller Fest, which is a conference in New York City back in June, and we both participated on a panel together, which was a lot of fun.
It was fun. It was a good panel.
I thought so too. I thought everybody had a great, contributed to it, and it was just really thoughtful answers, and you guys did a great job. And what I didn't know about Kate at the time is that you're a marathon runner.
It's been a while since I've run an
Okay.
actual marathon, since I've run a full. It's been at least a decade, but I yes, I can still consider myself a marathon runner. I'm, getting ready for a half in the spring and got my eyes on another full. So yeah,
Oh
fingers
my
crossed.
gosh. Yeah, I have to wonder, as someone who does not run, what in the world possesses a person to run not one, but several marathons?
It's more fun than you think.
Is it? Is
It
it?
is.
It just
Yeah.
sounds like agony to me.
Yeah.
Uh, now that we've established your ability to do miraculous things, why don't you go ahead and get us started and tell us a little bit about yourself and your writing journey, just whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, I actually started writing romance. That was the genre I started in, historical romance. I really
Ah, me too.
originally, yeah,
I did, yeah.
romance to thriller pipeline is strong, I think. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
Lisa Gardner, Tess
Mhm.
Gerritsen, yeah, they all started there.
Yeah, I think even Lisa Jewell said some of her early works.
I did not know that. Okay.
I
All
heard
right,
her
great.
VoucherCon get interviewed and she was talking about that.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to write a Gilded Age version of the Bridgerton series. Back when I first started, that was sort of my vision. And I couldn't sell it.
Oh,
I had an
hmm.
agent, but at the time, this was before the HBO show, people were just not interested in
Yeah.
Gilded Age set romances. But a mystery press was interested in a Gilded Age set mystery and said, hey, if you can flip the mystery subplot into the main plot and give us a romance subplot, we'd be interested in taking a look. So I did it. I rewrote the whole book. And
Wow.
that's how I started. That's how I moved into mystery and then into thriller. And then, when I was writing these historical mysteries, I have 4 books in that series. I was really interested in writing a more contemporary set thriller, and I wrote a book that I really love, but also didn't sell. But that gave me sort of the confidence to write another book, and that turned into The Gallery Assistant.
Yeah. And it's a really great book. I very, very much enjoyed it. I thought it had a unique premise actually one before we dive too deeply into it, I'm always conscious of giving away spoilers. So why don't you just give us what your summary is of the gallery assistant, if you don't mind?
Sure. So it's about a young woman who is a gallery assistant in dealing with her own PTSD after being at ground zero on 9/11. That's not too much of a spoiler because that's established pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And after another young woman, the newest painter to be acquired by her gallery is found murdered in her loft. It turns out that our assistant was the last person to see her alive, the last person to leave the party. And she finds herself sort of in a web of deceit where she's got to tell truth from fiction and try to figure out what's happening.
Yeah. How was it writing in, I want to say like kind of like this emotionally charged period in our history? I guess what inspired you to set the story against that backdrop of 9/11 and I guess how did you approach writing about such profound national trauma?
So the setting really was the starting point for the book. When I was thinking, and I actually come to story ideas a lot while I'm running. It's something I do. I sort of, listen to whatever playlist I'm listening to, and my mind wanders to different, plot points and whatnot. But I was thinking on a run about sort of what my next thriller could be and where it could be. And I just always had thought for a long time that that moment in time would make a really interesting backdrop for a thriller, because it was such a almost dystopian time. Not quite, but it was
Mm,
just sort of very unsettled, very jittery, especially in New York City. I know nationally, of course, but we really felt it. That's just where I was. So that was my perspective, was how much,
mm,
how dislocated we all felt in the city. And I really started to think, well, what happens in a time that's so laden with conspiracies? Because we just, in those few months, nobody knew sort of what was going to happen
mhm,
next and where we were going as a country or globally. Was something else going to blow up or fall? And what in that time that was laden with conspiracies, what would happen if you maybe stumbled across a real conspiracy? How could you tell if it was real? How can you tell truth from fiction
yeah,
in that moment? And it really sprung up from there. And then I moved into the art gallery side. Again, that's just where I was working in that time of my life. I was working in an Upper East Side gallery. And yeah, so I really drew upon my experience in the art world to flesh out a lot of those details.
yeah. We were talking about trauma a little bit, and the conspiracy and all of that, and it really does alter the way people perceive danger and trusting others and just kind of responding to those. I don't know, lack of a better word, high stakes type of situation there. How did your protagonist's past influence the tension, the pacing, and even the twists in the gallery assistant?
Oh, I think it directly informs all of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
since she is struggling with this PTSD, she's already drinking too much. She's having blackouts. She's not going to therapy. Like, she's not dealing with any of this. She's just trying to sort of get by, kind of white knuckle through this moment in her life,
Mhm.
which for many of us in mid to late 20s is already kind of a white knuckly time of life, right?
Mhm.
Like, you're trying to figure out careers and romance and friendships and sort of navigate this newly adult world in those post college years. And marrying all of those things together, I think really helped me come up with those sort of beats and twists, and that she's
Mhm.
already in sort of this precarious place in her life, maybe her more than other people. And then this sort of major trauma happens, yes, on the backdrop of a national trauma, and then she's in this very altered city, like physically altered,
Mhm.
still trying to navigate all that. And then all these other things start happening. The painter dies, and without giving too much away, somebody
Yeah.
close to her goes missing, somebody is attacked, like all and it doesn't seem related, but she feels like it is.
Yeah, it's like her intuition is kicking in there.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really loved in the story, and it's closer to the end, and I don't think it's a spoiler, but it talks about once once the towers fall, and people are running away from this, and they're caked in this dust and they're running towards the bridge and things like that. You had this element of just human kindness and empathy, and where like they're giving shoes to people because people like their shoes just got blown off, and just things that we just don't think about in the normal way of things. How did I, it was I felt some really visceral feelings when reading those passages. How did you tap into that emotion?
I read a lot of survivor accounts and a lot of, first person accounts of what it was like. And again, living there then, and I wasn't at ground zero, but I was, like my protagonist, lived in Brooklyn, commuted to the Upper East Side, like mid, attacks. and then had to spend the rest of the day kind of trying to figure out what was going on, trying to get home. So I saw a lot of that kindness. It was
Mm,
very prevalent. It was New Yorkers just like came out and came together. And I think I have one line in there about people holding out water cups on their front stoops as she's walking home,
mhm,
like it's the like they do at the marathon. And that was something I distinctly remember is walking
mhm,
past people just holding out water, trying to give it to anybody who needed it. So I really wanted to be genuine to that moment and
mhm,
honor the people who did survive and who went through that horrible experience of, escaping and then trying to make their way home, however that was, and recognize that kindness and, like you say, sort of the empathy is the way you put it, I think, which is very true.
mhm,
And it was very palpable, I think, in the moment.
mhm,
And I also didn't want to sensationalize. I tried really hard not to not to sensationalize the tragedy, but more to humanize it.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely, and I think you did. I think it felt, um, it was spot on for me as a reader. It was spot on, and I
Thank
did
you.
not think that you sensationalized it at all, and it was just very emotional and for folks who might be concerned about it, it wasn't like this prolonged scene or chapters or anything like that, but it just really hit that that kind of that right amount of um, bringing it to life and feeling the emotions and how all of that played into the bigger story too, which was great. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. All right, well, we'll
Glad to hear it
switch.
worked.
What's that?
I said I'm glad to hear that it worked.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll switch gears just a little bit and do what I go behind the scenes with the author and find out a little bit more about them. Uh, how, not how, but do you have like a favorite place that you like to write? And also, do you have any routines to help you get yourself into the right mindset?
I don't have any real routines. I'm still at a moment. I still work full time. So writing for me is while a full time also job. It's also a catch as catch can sometimes way. When I have the space and the time. Um, where I tend to sort of move around my house a lot. Sometimes I'm at my desk, sometimes then I move to the couch, then sometimes I move to the front porch if it's nice out. It just sort of depends on where I am in the day, kind of the time of day. I write a lot at night. I have a 10-year-old, so after he goes to bed is kind of a good time for me. A couple hours I sit and I write then. That's when I get a lot of work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do that too. I move around a little bit, and I think it's because of it's probably based in so many years of working at a desk that sitting at a desk and writing just feels like work. But if
Yeah.
I go out on my screen and porch, it's like I'm creating as opposed to working. It's just a weird psychological thing, I think. But
You're
I
right.
don't I don't dread it. I just go out there and do what I need to do.
Yeah, no,
Um,
totally. No, I love it. I'm always looking for the moments when I can, squeeze in another couple hundred words. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a story that you would like to write, but haven't yet taken the plunge for whatever reason?
Yes, I want to. The first thriller that I wrote that I couldn't sell, I want to take elements of that story and rewrite it, but I'm looking to change the time period. So it's going to be 80s set. And I'm very interested in kind of mining the New York art world of the mid to late 1980s and then bringing that to life. It was just this sort of bombastic, larger than life, very sort of dude centric time. But at the same time, women in the workplace, were more prevalent than ever. If you know the artist collective, the Gorilla Girls, they're artists who don gorilla masks and point out inequities in the art world, like in gender
Hmm.
and race and whatnot in their actual work. And they would like go plaster these posters all over Soho. I feel like it's just such an interesting moment. And that thriller was a destination wedding kind of gone horribly wrong. And it can merged into that because there were already themes of sort of friendship and gender identity and gender roles that I think are even more interesting to kind of mine and tease out in the backdrop of a thriller if
Yeah.
it's set in that particular historical time period. So that's something I'm kicking around.
Yeah, that's funny you say historical time period. That was kind of the basis of our panel that we did back in
Right.
June. It's like, when is a story historical? At what time do we call it? It breaks my heart to hear that 80s or vintage are considered historical now. But
I know, me too.
I'm
And
yeah, it's
yet,
craziness.
yeah.
Uh, so have you read a recent book? It doesn't matter what genre. If it's thriller, that's an extra plus. But if have you read a recent book lately that you've read and loved and would recommend?
The new Lisa Jewell. Don't let him
Ah,
in. Yeah, I read that. I was again at VoucherCon in New Orleans. I had that with me. I brought it with me because I thought I'd get her to sign it, which I did.
oh,
Then I
great.
started it on the plane, and then I was in. I was on deadline for my next book, and was like, that was silly, Kate. That was not very smart of you to start this book when you're on deadline because all I wanted to do was like go into a corner and like bury my face in it again. It was just such a propulsive page turner.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really think it's her best book yet. And I know them's fighting words, but I loved that book.
Oh, great. Is she
Yeah.
as nice as she seems? She seems like such a sweet
Yes.
person. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Good.
So like kind and generous and friendly to everybody. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, before we go, can you tell us, maybe you mentioned that you're on deadline. Could you tell us maybe what's up next or give us a little hint?
Oh, up next is, assuming my editor loves it as much as I do, it's a dark academia college reunion story, kind of a nod to that OG thriller of the secret history, the OG dark academia of a group of friends where one of them goes missing. Again, as happens in that book, not a spoiler if you haven't read it yet, though it's been out since the 90s, because that happens on
Yeah.
the first page. But somebody goes missing, but then, what if that person was never found? What would happen to that friend group? But I really like that sort of, since I am an academic and I work in academia, I'm interested in dark academia and those sort of, secretive spaces of colleges, the elitism and the, rituals and traditions that go along with college,
Mhm.
those kinds of like small liberal arts college. I went to one, I work at one. And so I poke around at all that in the next book.
All right, great. Well, we'll
Yeah.
look forward to that. That's wonderful. Uh, Folks, when this episode airs, the gallery assistant will be out, so be sure to order your copy today. You can check out Kate's website at katebelly.com. Kate, what social media platform are you most active on?
I am most active on Instagram at Kate
Okay.
Belli Author, one word.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks a ton, Kate. It was an absolute pleasure, obviously, to read the gallery assistant, and I can't wait for readers to get their hands on this book.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This was so nice it's so nice to see you again and so nice to talk
Yes,
books with you.
as always, always, always. Well, many, many thanks to everyone listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll be back soon with another thrilling read.